Film fans YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel and Happy New Year. I am Josh, your movie apprentice, and today I almost forgot I have not done my tier list for December 2024 yet. So that's what I'm going to do very quickly. I saw a lot of movies in December, and honestly, it was a strong end to 2024, I must say. Just very quickly as well, my breakdown of the tiers. We obviously have must-see cinema. Those are the films I feel like you must see. Physical purchase, films I would happily own on Blu-ray. Glad I watched. These are films that I thought were really good, but I can't necessarily see myself ever watching them again. Then worth a stream. If I need something on in the background that's mildly enjoyable, then it's definitely worth a stream in my opinion. Not for me are films that I don't like, but I can understand why others might like them. And there's the do not watch, which are films I quite frankly think you don't have to waste your time with. These are films you could very easily skip. So without further ado, let's jump into the tier list. So starting off with, we have Carry On, starring Taron Egerton. This is a movie following a TSA agent who is tasked to allow someone to smuggle a highly dangerous weapon onto a plane, and he does everything in his power to alert the authorities to the situation. It's very much a Die Hard-esque kind of movie, and I found myself engaged by it. The antagonist lead performance is brilliant, but it does have some shortcomings when it comes to its script and its pacing and execution. There's some character deaths that feel like absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things, and they end up getting forgotten about quite quickly. There's also a very cheesy car chase sequence that has some very awful green screen, but it's an entertaining bit of film to watch, and it's, for me, definitely worth a stream. Now, Hot Frosty, I watched this because, quite frankly, I was battling a cold for most of December, so I didn't manage to get out to the cinema as much as I would have liked to, despite seeing all these movies. And Hot Frosty is exactly what it says on the tin. A woman manages to bring a snowman to life by accident, and he is extremely hot, which means there are several jokes about middle-aged woman ogling this hot younger man. But outside of the cringy jokes, it knows what it is. It does have a little bit of heart in there when it comes to the connections this snowman manages to build up within the community. This is a film that knows what it is and isn't trying to take itself too seriously, and overall is a lot of fun. This is also one that I would say is worth a stream. Kraven the Hunter finishes the Sony series as it started, a very mediocre film that was very messy, had a lot of wooden performances in it, despite the outstanding talent involved. It's another movie that I have completely forgotten most of what happens in it. I remember there's a lot of conveniences in it, and there's some awful CGI towards the end. This is just a movie that it's not as bad as some of the other movies got into the Sony universe, but it definitely didn't help end it on a high note at all. So for that, I'm going to say this was definitely not for me. Maria was an unlimited screening over here, and this is all about Angelina Jolie's captivating lead performance as Maria, though take nothing away from her two servants, her butler and her maid, who both also deliver fantastic performances. I can't remember the actors' names off the top of my head, but if I ever do a full review of this, I'll definitely be giving them a massive shout out because it's really about the interpersonal relationships and the dynamics of this fading figure that really help things out. I will say that the whole backstory of her and her husband, well, sort of husband, like her lifelong lover that they never got married to, feels like it's not as fleshed out as it probably could have been. There's a lot of being told what happened within that relationship. Though I will say Chloe Smith McPhee, who plays an interviewer that interviews Maria throughout the film's runtime, is glorious in this, and I'm glad he's not just faded back into obscurity after The Power of the Dog. Maria is a movie that I'm very glad I watched, and Jolie's lead performance in this will probably land her the Best Actress Oscar, but I'm still rooting for Demi Moore. However, it's not one I can see myself revisiting, so for that, it's very much a glad I watched. Despite what all the Lion King fans keep telling me, Mufasa is just another generic movie for me. It gives generic reasons for the fallout between Mufasa and Taka, who goes on to become Scar. The way the jealousy plays out feels very by the numbers, and the constant cutting back and forth between this epic backstory and a lot of cringy Timon and Pumbaa gags coming from a guy who loves Timon and Pumbaa as characters and always has really enjoyed them. They were way too overbearing for me and really detracted from the story. I just genuinely did not like the structure. And whilst the technical marvel of this film cannot be understated, and the way they actually managed to add some expression to these lifelike lions is something to be commended. But outside of that, this just wasn't for me. Coming up next, we have Better Man, which for me was exactly why I wait to do my end of the year list till the very, very end of the year. This came out on Boxing Day over here in the UK, and it's honestly a massive surprise of a movie for a film that's whole premise is it's a Robbie Williams biopic, but it's him as a performing monkey. Sounds like the dumbest thing ever, but ends up being such a crisp movie that really dives into self-loathing, anxiety, and imposter syndrome. The fact that I expected this to be a self-indulgent piece, and it ended up being a very well-known person over here in the UK, fully opening himself up to the world in such an intimate and personal way, I thought was absolutely fantastic. Genuinely, this took the Rocket Man approach of telling a biopic, and it was all the better for it. This, for me, was one of the must-see films of the end of last year, and that is why, yeah, I'm going to put it must-watch cinema because genuinely do not expect much from this and then they're getting absolutely blown away. Now, Sonic 3. Wow, this was one hell of a ride. I grew up playing Sonic Adventure 2 Battle and Sonic Adventure GX. I watched Sonic X when I was a kid. So this was just made for me and is, as I said in my review, the first perfect video game movie. It's not without flaws from a film perspective, though. There is a lot of cringy moments that would take the audience out of it. There are a few plot holes in there, particularly one particular save done by Tails and Knuckles towards the end of the movie that feels like there's no way this could have happened outside of just the movie required it to happen. That element of it was a bit irritating, but I did not care as a Sonic fan. This was everything I could have hoped for in a Sonic movie, and I cannot wait to see where the series goes next. So in case you haven't noticed, this is going to go into physical purchase for me personally. Subservience Megan Fox plays an android that looks after a man and his children after his wife is critically ill in hospital. And unfortunately, Megan Fox is an android robot. Whilst it does have some interesting ideas, unfortunately, Megan Fox can never seem to get away from the objective sex symbol that she used to be way back in the day, and it ends up just being a robot that gets fucked once by this guy that goes absolutely crazy for them and leads into honestly what could have been a really great movie, but unfortunately it falls way short of standards set by previous AI robot movies like Megan, for example. I enjoy the watch, but I'm not going to watch it again. And will I say it's worth a stream? I would say it's looking at as good ideas, but it's at the very bottom of that worth a stream list. To a Land Unknown, this is a movie I saw a screener for, and it's coming out properly in 2025. So how I'm going to tier this, and I'm going to say without spoiling anything, that it tells a very interesting story, and I love the fact that we never get to know what is going on outside of what our main two characters know. There's never any cutaway showing us what's happened. It's always us experiencing what's going on with the two cousins within this that are trying their best to get to Europe from Greece. It, for me, was a decent movie, but it's not one that I will watch again purely because the ending kind of comes out of nowhere and there's a lack of satisfaction with the ending as well. Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. It's a British icon movie. A lot of British people love it. It was a fun watch to see on Christmas Day. And yeah, there's not much more I can say about it. It's a charming movie. Wallace is as great as he always is. And the physical comedy when it came to Gromit and the Nobots was brilliant. There's a surprisingly emotional bit towards the end. And Feathers McGraw is a top 10 villain of all time. Fight me, but it is one that's definitely worth a stream, I would say. Don't think I'd own it physically, but 100% this is worth a stream and is at the top of that little pile. The War of the Rohirrim. Oh, God. I wanted to love this movie, guys, so badly. I love Lord of the Rings. I'm a massive weeb. There's literally a Full Metal Alchemist poster right there behind me. It's a crying shame that these two amazing pieces of art couldn't come together to form a good story. It was a very generic story. The animation felt like it was being animated for animation's sakes at times. Like there's some characters that are way too exaggerated in their movements and motions to make it feel fluid. And it just throws me off a fair bit when watching this movie purely because I was getting distracted by just how expressive these people were being with their bodies and not enough by the dialogue said. Also, the film's failure to have a cohesive geography when it comes to the battles and the fights. Like characters seemingly are miles away, but they're right next to someone important dying for them. And there's one particular bit that's supposed to be badass, and it is pretty badass, but I couldn't help but think the whole time, why couldn't they just open that door a bit more and go in there? Because there was no reason they had to perish in that moment, apart from the script demands it. And we need an epic backstory for why Helm's Deep is called Helm's Deep. For me, What We're Hearing was a massive disappointment for me. More than most, it seems. A lot of people seem to be giving it mixed reviews. It was fast tracked out by Warner Bros. As well, which is a crying shame. And yeah, it just wasn't for me, unfortunately. And I wanted this to be an underdog for Best Animated Feature winner. So a big disappointment from me. And finally, We Live in Time. Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh play a fantastic movie couple. Their whole romance is great. And whilst the back and forth in terms of the timelines can be a bit jarring at times, this is still a movie that can have you feeling emotionally devastated 1 minute and laughing your head off the next. I really enjoy these two performers. It was a very good movie that would just feel like it's kind of come and gone, has been under the radar in terms of awards press, which is unfortunate because I feel like it was a decent movie. And for me, it's definitely one that I would say is it's more than worth a stream. And I would happily watch it again, to be honest. So yeah, this is going to go on the physical purchase tier, but just below my Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And there we go. That is my tier list for the films I saw in December 2024, new releases at least from the UK. No Nosferatu, as you would notice, because that film came out on New Year's Day for us in the UK. So it was a 2025 film for us. But I will be getting my review out of that as soon as I can over the next couple of days. And I'll stay tuned for my most anticipated movies of 2025. But until next time, everybody, if you'd like to see this video, click the like button and subscribe for more video views that's coming all the time. And I'll see you all in the next video.